And a very good Friday afternoon to you. Welcome into the Chico Bormann Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. And a little bit different show today. We're going to tell you about that here in just a moment. Want to remind you, you can stream us each and every day, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 on Twitter. Go to the Twitter app at Chico Show CLE. You can also do that on YouTube. Go to YouTube, type in the Chico Bormann Show, hit subscribe. We appreciate it, and we'll be all set to go. All right, so I mentioned a little bit of a different show today. What I always say, and I've told many people this on or off the air, if Bernie Kosar makes an entrance, okay, not many people have VIP status where they can just say, you know what, I know you had something planned today, but Bernie, because as people know, I'm a kid that grew up in the 80s. So Bernie is, he's got clout, put it that way. Anyway, we bring in Bernie Kosar today. And Bernie, we've got a lot to get to as far as people are seeing a lot of this stuff and vitamins and what's going on here. Is this a science experiment? It is of sorts. But first of all, let me just say this. Lately, when I talk to you or when I see you and we see each other occasionally up here, you're always up, always in good spirits, always saying you're feeling good. So now I think it's time to get the word out. Why is that?
Well, I'm chuckling at how you're looking at some of the props up there and saying in a science experiment. I kind of feel like my body's been a science experiment and we've been testing on myself. And during the course of our relationship, I don't say this to be proud or amplify myself, but I've been on the good pathway to health and wellness. That absolutely wasn't the case a half dozen years ago and stuff. And as I glance over at the helmet and I think through some of the TBI, traumatic brain injuries, and some of the scars and scratches on that helmet from my rookie year, and then I see some of the PET scan results where you see damaged stuff with the brain and stuff. So, one of the things for me that when I was challenged a half dozen years ago with this, I didn't see a pathway out of it. And for me now to have been able to find a holistic way to treat myself and to kind of come out the other side and to be able here, and I think we've said on our show here and on your show here, I was diagnosed 4 years ago with 5 years left of cognitive brain function. The inability to say cognitive, the inability to enunciate, articulate, communicate multiple syllable words wasn't there. And when I was going to the doctors, they were scripting me with so much medication and stuff to have a century, 3+ decades, to be on north of 50+ pills isn't at all something I'm proud to talk about. But one of the things we've talked on the air a little bit, but we've talked off air quite a bit, mental illness, anxiety, depression, suicide rates are unfortunately, they were an issue before COVID. Mm-hmm. They're exponentially more of an issue since COVID has come out. And with issues like that out there, and in just our state of Ohio, just in the last week, we've had over 100 people die of overdose deaths with this opiate fentanyl issue that's going around. So it's just not old football players. Unfortunately, some of the situations I'm seeing, Chico, is with us older football players. You're seeing very similar stuff with veterans and our soldiers that are coming back from combat missions, and some of the treatments and PTSD and suicide rates. It's really almost an epidemic situation now. So there's so many segments of people that really need help now. I don't say this again to be cocky, but it's almost like a responsibility now for people like ourselves who have kind of found a pathway to health, happiness, and a little bit of success to be able now to, again, I don't proudly say some of the things of being on 50 different pills for most of this century, for three different decades, to being 5 years ago, quite a few ho-hos north of 320 pounds, to figure out a pathway to get back to the last 5 years, to have not done a single pill in 5 years, and to really, I believe, almost regenerate, to at least stop the deterioration of my brain and body. It's almost now a responsibility, I believe, to kind of share this message and share this kind of story with people who are really struggling with it, because there's so many families and people that are massively struggling with this issue right now.
Yeah, and we'll get into again a lot of what has helped you along this journey, a great deal along this journey, in just a moment. But I think this is a topic, and I commend you. You and I have talked plenty of times off the air about this. You're right. I commend you for, being accountable and saying, hey, this is where I was. I mean, it's a lonely feeling. Think of anybody that has had any sort of addiction issues. We see it in athletes today, younger athletes, even more so now. Like, they have a injury playing football in high school, and, well, here's the painkiller, and then, well, you get hooked on those things. And we've seen, that's why you're talking, ODs and all this stuff that's going down. So first and foremost, getting this message out. And I think guys like you, when Kevin Love was here, he made a point to talk about mental illness and, hey, let's not hide behind anything. It's out there. And I think sometimes as fans, and I'm speaking for many of you out there, as fans, we see our favorite athletes. We see our heroes out there on the field, and we just kind of think, oh, yeah, hey, everything's great, right? I mean, you play a game you love, you make a lot of money, and this is the other side of it. Yeah. I mean, this is, there's a lot of guys like you, and you mentioned it. There's a lot of guys like you that are really struggling with this. Some don't get to the point where you're at right now, and I know you're grateful as hell to get to that point. You think of guys like Junior Seau. You think of that
Dave Durison, Junior Seau. Chico, I got to give a massive shout out to Kevin Love and how you so astutely pointed that out. Give Kevin a lot of courage to have come out years ago, being one of the early guys to have done that. I had known Kevin before he had come out and before we had been comfortable talking about this. And even myself, someone who's cognizant of this issue going on and cognizant of some of the things that young athletes and celebrities are up against. And even I noticed and was disappointed when I had met him and I hadn't known that issue was there. And then to hear him have the confidence to really coach us up, and myself included, to hear him say that is actually part of my probably courage or responsibility to start talking about it, because, God, you hit it right on the head. More than probably 10 years ago, I played football at the University of Miami in 1984 against Dave Durison. Yeah. Played against the Chicago Bears. Dave Durison had a suicide where, like Junior Seau, we know that we had issues in our head, but back then people didn't believe us, thought we were making it up. Those two had, I say, the courage to know that something was up and donate their brains to get researched. Something that in 2023 is kind of openly talked about. It wasn't talked about as much 5 and 10 years ago. And for them to know something's up and be so lonely, and that's the guys like Junior Seau, to be so lonely.
That was my next point I was going to bring
they
up. Yep.
Shoot themselves in the heart to try to relieve the pressure of them, and that's Junior Seau and Dave Durison. So part of this message is, again, if guys like us have this issue and stuff, I know that other people must feel really helpless and real alone out there. And, if we're able to provide some relief and say it's okay to say you have these issues, and that's one thing. But now, again, it's not a sales thing. Chico, I'm proud to say there's hope for you. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And
you're living proof
and I'm
of
living
it. Like
it.
I said,
and
we notice it. I notice it.
Thank you. I partially haven't talked at length about it for the reasons we're talking about in terms of being a little embarrassed of it, but even more so now, I've been past that part of it the last, say, 6 months, year or so. But since we've come out of COVID and we started getting back out again and seeing some of these issues and stuff that's been manifesting around the country, it's whenever I crack the door open and start talking about this, the flood of calls that I get, the flood of people that call, it's very comforting, it's really reaffirming, but they want a need. It's like the question of, and I'm not trying to segue into trying to sell stuff, but people are like, what are you taking? What is the exact stuff? Because when you're challenged, when you're challenged like I was, even being told something was hard to understand, get it, process it, and then retain it so that I could then execute on it. So, now it's almost like you got to hand them your Vitamix, hand them your spray, non-narcotic spray relief, hand them your hot sauce, hand them your probiotics, your multivitamins. I mean, it's a whole lifestyle that we're talking about. And when I developed and I started living my lifestyle, it's kind of goes hand in hand with how I'm able to feel good, be healthy, be more articulate and stuff. And it's kind of something I feel proud to be sharing right now. And a lot of it I see stems here, as I said the joke last time I was on air. As an inbred Slovak who grew up on kibasi and pierogies for breakfast, okay? Food is your medicine and stuff. So,
Bernie, I love you.
Vitamixing and food is your medicine with smart supplementation. And I was one of those guys when I played that discounted the vitamins and the smart supplementation. And I thought that they were all the same. And now that I've had so many personal issues and then had so much success a certain way, I am massively fixated on what the ingredients are. And I'm fixated on everything that kind of goes into my mouth. So what's in my probiotics, what's in my multivitamins just isn't haphazard. And something like a probiotic for myself or for players, current players in particular, and young kids, it has a peptide in there, MB40, which attacks staph infection. Staph infection is something why my arm is all screwed up, because we didn't have MB40 peptide when I was playing. Staph infection settled in my elbow when I popped it out in the 1988 season opener against the Kansas City Chiefs. And to this day, it's bothering me. So if I could alleviate, I did the Mike Tomczak Passing Academy camp yesterday, and I couldn't throw. Chico, I hate that I can't throw at the level I want to because I had staph infection in my elbow, 1988. I don't want to see a young man have to go through those type issues. Something so simple, a simple peptide could rectify a staph infection. So there's lots of little things that I've now started to try to figure out really out of just self-need.
Talking to the great Bernie Kosar here in studio, Chico Bormann Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. We're going to get into all this here in just a moment, I promise. But, you mentioned and you went back talking about, that the lonely feelings and all of that. And I think I bring that up because I know, like you said, when you mention it, there's a lot of people that respond. So if there's somebody out there that feels, athlete or not, just somebody that feels like, wow, I've got nowhere to turn, talk to somebody. I mean, those days, hopefully, of feeling like, there's nobody out there, nobody cares. And in your situation, I would think even worse, being the athlete, the former athlete, because, come on, Bernie, tough it up.
That phrase, suck it up, tough it up. Yeah.
And that's there's things that are so beyond anyone's control that the amount of willpower or machismo, whatever you want to call it, is ridiculous. And that's, get it out there and let people know you're struggling.
Yeah.
Guess what? There's a lot of people
beautifully
struggling.
said. And, if I could add to that too, one of the things that, I'm kind of doing is kind of putting that community of us together, whether it's people that are having some of these issues and are people that understand that this is the right way to treat people, and are just looking for help, that need hope out on the other side of it, that need to find a pathway of things to put in your body, because so many people are trying so hard and they're actually hurting themselves by doing some of the wrong things there. So being able to kind of show people and join our community. Again, I don't say join our community from a sales side of it. Join our community because I'm on the same pathway of trying to figure out the most holistic, healthy ways to find health and happiness for us.
When we look back on your career, and, I think most people by now know, your story. It's been out there, whether it's in books, whether it's, articles, great articles, long form by Terry Pluto and others. But you took let's not sugarcoat it. You took a beating. And we're talking about the days of the NFL when, today, Patrick Mahomes, somebody looks at him the wrong way, flag, got to protect the quarterbacks, and that's great. But back in your day, that didn't happen. These injuries continue to pile up and pile up and pile up. Give us an idea. For those that don't know, give us an idea of really what you went through and then what that immediate aftermath was after the career's done.
Well, we were on before the show, and I don't know if we're gonna go pull it up during the show. We were looking at some of those old highlights and stuff, and Chico, you were awesome with putting out the Buffalo Bills game, like the playoff game in 1989, and looking at some of the hits here. And again, as I glance over at the helmet, and these are the helmets from that era and stuff. And that was my rookie year's helmet. But I looked at that play there, and I don't know if we're going to show it during it, but I threw a touchdown to Webster Slaughter, and you were showing the play where, and today, if you get hit in the head, as you should, it's an automatic roughing the quarterback. But back in the day, getting hit in the head was a common occurrence without a call. And again, for you, I've said this, I try to say this all the time, for young quarterbacks out there and young football players, wear a mouthpiece. But I didn't wear one back then, so getting punched in the face or getting hit in the head like that on a couple of those plays, I say the joke, I got my friends from Canada to hear, hockey players don't have front teeth. NFL quarterbacks in the 80s don't have their back teeth. And that play you showed me where Webster caught that double move for a touchdown, got double hit by Bruce Smith and a defensive back off the corner. And first thing you do is you don't even check your mouth. You check to see if the ball got intercepted or the play worked and stuff. So, those type injuries and stuff that happened back then, you really kind of took it for granted that you were just going to be okay. You really didn't know the ramifications, the consequences are down the road like this.
Okay, I want to get to the good stuff now because, obviously people know the dark times, but for you to be where you're at, you're 59 years old, correct?
Yeah.
And as I mentioned when I brought you in, like you yesterday when you called me, Chico, how you doing? Hey, I'm coming back from the Mike Tomczak Passing Academy, and you could hear it in your voice, you can see it, when people talk to you, and I'm sure many people come up to you. What is it exactly? And I want to bring in we've got Doug here from Amio. Make sure I
Amio Life.
This kind of has been. This
life.
Guy's been a lifesaver for you, and his products have been a lifesaver for you. So I want you guys to kind of take over here. And tell
Doug and Emil Life, like I said, have been a lifesaver to me. I want to take all the credit as Mr. Scientist for putting all of this great stuff together. But again, I said it in jest. I'm not saying this to put anybody in jeopardy and stuff, but over the years, I was so health-wise desperate and so challenged physically and mentally that I had to try to experiment / self-medicate myself to try to find an answer because, again, the 40 surgeries, the concussions are one thing, but those seizures that I was having and the being in a coma was lasting longer and longer as the seizures were going. So I had to find something or I was going to pass.
And you're just trying to feel better. That's what
I'm
people
just
need to
trying
realize.
to stay.
This is not a guy that And even if there are those out there that have this as well, but this was you basically saying, I just need to be able to function on a daily basis, and this is what I've been given. Well, obviously it's not working. Now I'm getting addicted to them. Now there's consequences because of that. And this is where I think everything kind of changes for you.
It really changed. And I went through all kinds of elaborate tests and all kinds of elaborate physical therapy and all kinds of elaborate type of services to get healthy, and new technology. And it really is amazing to me. And simplistically, for the people that are kind of listening out there, the simplicity of what really worked for me. There was all this aggressive stuff, all this complex stuff, all kinds of prescriptions and protocols and procedures that they wanted me to take. And really what it broke down to was food is your medicine, with smart supplementation. So, again, keep saying the joke as an inbred Slovak, with eating kibasi and pierogi for breakfast. But, when I started with Vitamix and juicing, that was just basically to flush and detox myself, and understanding. People go, what is the recipes and stuff? Well, really good water, which is amazing that I'm on that fixation with the train wreck in East Palestine and some of the things that have been going on in our state. And how do you really get fresh, clean water that really can detoxify the system and stuff? And we're finding in our country, not just like in our area, that just getting clean water is tough. So the smart supplementation that comes along with it, and some of the stuff that Doug's really the genius on.
How did you guys get hooked up? How did you reach out to him? He reach out to you, mutual friends? How did that happen?
So Doug's the expert at kind of coming up with the ingredients that really flush and detox my body. And then there's some really cute science experiments that really help flush and detox, whether it's our juices and our water and stuff that really detoxifies us and stuff. Mm-hmm. But one of the guys that we will have on the show, and the beautiful bridge as to how me and Doug at Emil Life got started, is the great Ralph Malone, Georgia Tech graduate, and one of my teammates and roommates and our teammates in 1986 and 87, defensive end with the Cleveland Browns. And you used to hear all these stories about what NFL players do and what young single NFL players do today, let alone what young single NFL players did in the 80s. And me and Ralph Malone, another friend and partner here at Emil Life, and he'll be coming into town tomorrow for the Greg Newsome celebrity softball game. But me and Ralph played chess together on our free time. So we'd end up playing chess, and me and him were so good at it that the games would be so damn long that we had to stop because we had to get to film study. And it's been a 35-year relationship.
So I want to bring in Doug. And Doug, it's great to have you here in studio. And give us an idea when you first hear about Bernie, talk to Bernie, and realize the conditions, realize all of the injuries, kind of give us your initial thought, initial reaction when you see his chart, when you hear about or see, results of MRIs, things of that nature. How bad was it?
He was a mess. And between what was going on from the injuries to what was going on from, I'm going to say, the medications and the path that he was on, just trying to function, right? And let alone live a happy, healthy life, but just to function, to get through the day. And, you've been talking about the unfortunate circumstances around other people in the league and just other people that are acquaintances through the years. And it's tragic, but it's true. And, if you look at the road that you were on and the path that you were on, it wasn't the best path, right? And to see what you've been able to do as far as just taking control and saying, okay, enough is enough. I'm going to do this my way now. And at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie, right? And if we
right.
look at,
if you're
looking at, a game video or anything, the numbers don't lie, right? So if we look at Bernie's, let's say, playbook of life and what he's done here, there's that one saying, if you give the body what the body needs, the body's going to heal itself. So Bernie's talking about supplementation. Bernie's talking about a lot of different things that he's used to get himself to where he is today. The real true magic to it all is just giving the body those necessities. And, you know, he's going to talk about the Vitamix. He's going to talk about different vitamins and minerals and stuff. And we can talk about supplementation and all that kind of stuff. And that's the world that we're in. And they do a great job, but they're not the be all end all. It's actually the body that's the be all end all. So
when did you, I mean, because obviously, you, as Bernie said, you know, you came up with a lot of this stuff. Can you kind of take us through, like, what got you interested in this, and then the whole process to, I mean, where we are now with everything, and I'm sure many others that you've helped along with Bernie?
I was a firefighter for 20 years. And if you would have asked me years ago, you know, would I be sitting here today in the health supplement industry working with Bernie and the other people that we work with, it would have been the furthest thing from it. And it took an injury for me getting out of the fire service. And I was on my own quest to heal my body. And I had a real tragic back injury. And it was, I tried, I'm going to say, the conventional medicine route, and it just didn't work for me. And if we look at the parallel with Bernie, you know, going that conventional route didn't work for him either. So it took for me to take control of my health naturally and have the amazing event to get tied in with some really good doctors and scientists and formulators and spend a lot of time in the labs and the universities and the different centers of understanding how formulations work, how mineralizations work, what the human body needs to regenerate things on a cellular level. And it's actually simpler than what most people think. There's a lot of complicated talk in the health industry, and it's one of the things that Bernie and I have been talking about a lot in what we're doing as partners is how do we bring a really complex story and make it so that everybody can understand it.
And can I amplify that so that you could continue to that? It's, Doug said a second ago too, it's not as complex as people think. It's not as hard to get started and get yourself on the pathway.
Yeah. Like you were talking a few seconds ago there, Bernie, that, you know, people are asking you, well, you know, what's my recipe for my Vitamix? You know what? The recipe is actually taking the best water, taking the best fruits, vegetables, and just blending them together, because what we do know is we're going to get the things that the body needs into the body so that the body can start healing itself.
So what I was going to ask you is, we have obviously, these supplements, the vitamins and themultivitamins, and over there you've got, I mean, there's hot sauce over there as well.
No, because there's a reasons why it goes into the mix and stuff with
Sure.
it. And I mean, even things like I wish I was doing this as a prop just to grab them, but
Oh no! Before the show, you said I just like eating these. Yeah, what's
yeah,
your
and
thing you're eating right
it's
now?
not just from just a taste perspective. The effects of this is a Camu and stuff, Vite Bites, and what this does is it enhances blood flow and oxygen to your extremities. So somebody like me with forgetfulness and brain fog, trying to increase blood flow and oxygen to my extremities, top of my head, and or too much information for everybody out there, but neuropathy in my feet and or the inability and numbness in my fingers. So this increases like the blood flow and oxygen, so I don't drop stuff, hold my phone. I could actually feel a little bit better with something simple like this.
Is there a common denominator in everything that we see up here?
I'm looking to see what we got up there, but yeah, pretty much everything up there we've got is a rich vitamin and mineral content. One of the things that Bernie was just taking is a new product that we're the first team to develop this, and this isn't a rah pro buyer product. This is just, you know, education and what we're doing here today. But so that's a freeze dried fruit supplement. It's the first freeze dried fruit supplement on the market, and we formulated that actually around Bernie. And it's been a pretty cool story. One of the, I'm going to say, really potent raw botanicals that's helped Bernie. And if there's one that sort of stands out as a product called Camu Camu. And Camu Camu is the most vitamin C dense fruit on the planet, and it grows in the jungles in Brazil. But it's such a bitter, gross tasting fruit that even the wildlife won't eat it. It's so bad. And so it's been recognized for years and years as it's 12,000 times potent vitamin C. Okay. So when we look at head injuries, we look at what's going on with Bernie, the brain feeds on vitamin C. So for Bernie, he's been taking this Camu Camu by the spoonful for the last year or longer.
Yearn for it.
Yeah.
I have my tasters for that.
Right. But it's horrible. Like, it's horrible to taste. It's horrible to put into a smoothie. And in the way of the world we're into nowadays, people want supplements that taste good. And everybody grades a supplement and, hey, does this taste good or not? So what we've been able to do is this is the first health supplement product that's got the daily allotment of Camu Camu in it. And we've been able, with the raw fruits and the freeze drying process, tame that Camu Camu flavor. So the reason why Bernie's, eating those nonstop is he's getting that Camu Camu ingredient. And it's, I'd say, when we're looking at brain health, we're looking at regeneration of what he's going through. That's going to be an amazing, I'm going to say, daily supplement for people to use.
If I could add to that too, is when I was starting my recovery and stuff 5 and 6 years ago with this, I'm a big fan of gummies. Okay, so right now you'll see a ton of gummies, whether they're vitamins, supplements like Camu here, and or in the THC CBD world from that. And we've talked on the show about getting off of pain pills and that with THC and CBD based oils and stuff. Well, gummies like that, and for most of the people out there taking, whether they say they like gummies, they like gummy vitamins, are because that's almost 90% sugar. What we've come here and what Doug's so genius with Fight Bite and stuff is the gummy component really is pure dried fruit. So it's not candy, it's not fake fruit, it's not the fructose-based stuff. This is dried fruit. So it's a kind of some cool companies out there that are able now to make the gummy like this with real dried fruit. And again, it's little things, but sugar is our enemy. So that's one of the things that we kind of work on.
Bernie, give us an idea, and Doug certainly chime in as well, like your daily routine with this stuff, because I think you said something at the very beginning, and I know I've noticed this too, just in everyday life. Like if let's say you're taking supplements, well, after a while it can be kind of, oh gosh, did I take this? Did I take that? You got that. How it seems like this is very simplified, and I think Doug has done a great job with that. So kind of take us through your routine as far as that.
So it's funny, people overcomplicate it, and you're so right. And then sometimes when you get into the organic and to the wellness world, you end up taking 35 supplements in your morning, and you're so confused. Okay, that is torturous for me too.
Convenience is key too.
And simplicity, because you wake up, you're tired, you got 1,000 things to do, and your phone's blowing up with stuff. So I'm a creature of habit and stuff. And again, it's simple for me. I'd like to say this is why I could kind of show and talk about it. But basically, this is how I start my day for it. And this Vitamix machine here, I literally fill up this one to even bigger, okay? To have that filled up with celery, carrots, really good water, okay, ginger and stuff. So it's nothing sexy right there. Celery, carrots, water. And then, with the Venus hot sauce, this is really peppers. There's no sugar in this. And then there's things that you're able to do with, we have it in the Vite Bites, but before the Vite Bites are ready, I like, putting in Camu in this. Doug's got he's really coached me up on some cool, I think they were proprietary as we were doing them, but some of the kind of cool things that he does to make sure the water's good with some of our trace minerals and our structured silver that are, I hope it's okay to be saying, some of the really cool ingredients that kind of make the chemical reactions, and as a wannabe chemist that makes it to get the desired results with that. So simply drinking in the morning instead of looking at that cheesecake that was left over from dinner last night, or those 2 cookies
Guilty.
laying there on the way out the door as we grab a Mountain Dew or a soda or something, is I'm about 210 pounds right now. There's a theory that says you should drink half of your weight in water a day. So over 100 ounces of good water I want to do a day. And it starts with you putting your celery, your carrots, your ginger, my hot sauce in there with some of my smart supplementation. So I'm only taking the multivitamin from Meal Life, the probiotic, the Vite Bites. I will put some Camu in here, and I drink, that's probably 50 ounces of that in the morning with a couple of my smart supplementations from a Meal Life. Now, people say, like, do you want to eat something else? You could go eat whatever you want after you've done that. And I try to do that breakfast, lunch, and dinner with my juicing and with my smart supplementation.
Doug, what do you, Bernie just mentioned, kind of what he likes to do, but like say your own routine, because I mean, I think it's interesting that, and a lot of times this is what happens. The founder of these things went through something very similar to what others are experiencing now. So what is it that you like, and what is it that people are going to find, what, I like this a lot more than anything else that's on the market?
I'm doing exactly the same thing. I'm making those smoothies in the morning. I'm not, my recipe, let's say, may be a little bit different, but it's the same principle. And realistically, when we're looking at what we're putting into our body on a daily basis, it's paying attention to what's on the back of a product label, and really looking at that and saying, okay, what am I getting? What am I getting? What am I putting into my body? Because when we look at illness and we look at sickness and what's bringing people down, it's the what's going into our body, whether we're putting it onto our body, through our personal care products, or what we're putting in through our mouth. And each ingredient is going to have a positive or a negative effect. So when we look at Bernie, for instance, right, and you listen to what he's not saying, I guess is the best way to say it, is he's not putting in chemicals, he's not putting in processed foods, he's not putting in sugars, he's not putting in substances into his body that have been manipulated, let's say. And that's why we see a guy now that's 210 pounds making just amazing strides every day in who he is, from a guy that was 305 pounds and essentially, lost, right? And so, one, you're walking the talk, but it's inspirational to us as well. And so, here we are working on products together and formulations together to help make people healthier. There's a prime example, and that prime example comes back to what we're doing with our health and things. So, so from my time working with Bernie, it's made me a lot more conscious of everything that I do and every decision I make around health. And Karen.
Yeah, great, Bernie Kosar in studio. Doug from Amio Life as well. I want to get you up here because people are looking at all this stuff, and we got this nice light bulb, and they're going, "What's going on here?" You're going to give a little demonstration of kind of what you've been doing and what you and Bernie have collaborated on in terms of helping him and making him so healthy now. So I'm gonna get out of the way here. You're gonna play chemist, I guess.
Hey,
this is Bernie. He was we all know you were
no,
a scholar
as a math, in my challenges, I would go, since I retired in 97, Chico, I'd go 72, 96, 120 hours, 3, 4, 5 days without sleeping with some of these issues. And at night, when you're trying to pretend and not bother the people around you, I would do kind of math and algorithm type equations to try to keep my head fresh as I was doing it. And these are the types of things that, made sense scientifically and from a math side of it.
Okay.
And as Doug's coming up with that, I was thinking too, as you were asking what my daily schedule is, And I'm here with the spray relief here. This started my journey of the first non-narcotic thing that I was doing. I was looking for non-narcotic spray and relief. But I go to bed at night, so like I'm talking about that, and I feel like a baby saying this on air. So maybe we may edit some of this out. But like I threw yesterday, so like what I'll do last night, like I'll douse my arm like this for people out there. Like I'll get this as wet as it could. It's antimicrobial, and then it doesn't hurt your clothes. So like I'll sleep with that douse like that, or I'll end up because I had broke my ankle and I have like 4 or 5 screws in there and a plate. Is I douse my feet at night, okay, and then put socks on and spray this again on it, and it massively helps my neuropathy in that. Come on there, Mr. Chemist. Let me see this baby here.
All right. So when we're looking at what's going on with you, and you're talking about natural, and this is just a quick little demonstration. Let's say to show. We'll say that this light bulb's representing your head for a minute, right?
Okay.
So right now it's kind of off. So let's say that this was what's going on with you, a few years ago when things weren't connecting, right? And so I'm just going to show, just as a representation, and we're just going to take a multivitamin here for a second. And when we look at what do supplements do for the body, right? And what do they mean for the body? Well, when we look at a good vitamin, when we look at a good mineral, it's controlling those impulses in the body. It's controlling the heart. It's controlling the brain function. It's controlling the lungs. Everything that needs to happen to substantiate life, right? And so, when we've got a good solid mineral, a good solid vitamin complex, I'm just going to do a little demonstration here for a second quickly, and we'll do 2 kind of interesting little demonstrations with this. So what we've got here is we've got a light bulb, and if we've got good mineralization, then that's going to circulate. That's going to actually make an electrical frequency happen in the body. And let's just simulate and see what that happens. And then we're going to just take it one more step.
Yeah, which is what we're looking for. Which is what we're absolutely looking for in our body.
And what I've done is I've just taken some water. I've taken, if anybody can see here, I've taken half a capsule of that multivitamin, just mix it up. So what we're able to do is we're able to complete that electrical circuit, turn that light bulb on with the mineral. So you think about what's happening in your body with that as well, right? So here's something else really cool, and I'll just show.
I love that the first time I saw that out there. That was what I did not know that when I first started trying to get myself healthy in that, but that's really the equation and the chemical reaction that's going on within your body that's helping to flush and really detox yourself, the detoxification from within.
Exactly.
That's helping me be excited to be seeing you every day.
Because otherwise you wouldn't.
Huh?
Totally.
Well, as great as you are, seriously, as bad as we felt. I mean, I'm not trying to throw these names out there just for shock value, but when you had mentioned Junior Seau earlier, and I mentioned Dave Durson. I mean, it's so fixated about how those guys, when we would talk off air, they would be so happy, they would look so good, but then you would see that they were having some of those issues and stuff. So to really genuinely feel like that, I'm proud to be able to talk like that.
Absolutely. So here's just another simple little test here. And what we're just showing is we've been talking about just the simplicity of wellness, right? And people overcomplicate it. And one of the things, and you were talking about earlier, is, you're saying people take like 35 different supplements. Mm-hmm. And I hear that every day in talking to the people that we work with. And it's like the human body can't take on that much. It can't process that much. So, and then when you think about the average decent supplement is, between $30 and $60. You start doing the math on that, on what it's costing people on a monthly basis. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, for stuff that isn't working for them.
Exactly.
Not getting real results.
Exactly. So what our whole deal is to try and help people, get down to just what the body needs, right? So we were able to turn that light bulb on quickly, let's say using the vitamins and the minerals, right?
Yeah.
So that's super
Like
cool.
we turned the body on. Like you've turned my body on.
Exactly. So here's just another test we're going to do with that.
That didn't sound too good as a guy saying that. Let me hey, edit that shit out there, bro.
We'll leave that.
What you'll do for health these days?
We'll leave that.
That's how desperate I was to get healthy,
right.
huh?
We'll leave that for you and the Ralph Malone back in 1989 days. You can, as you're touring around. Having fun as
Jeez,
as
I'm getting
single guys.
scarred here now. My boy Ralph may not come back now.
He might not. I hope he's not watching this. So anyways, when we also look at the body and we look at all of the chemicals and we look at all of the things that are going on in the body and they're creating that harsh acidic environment, right? And we do need our digestive system to be acidic to break down the foods. But, the other thing is, and you just think about if anybody here is listening, has gone in for cancer treatment, the first thing that they want to do is turn the body alkaline. That's the absolute first thing, right? So that's
that is what we're doing. Simplistically,
we're
cancer treatments. You want to turn the body alkaline, and bluntly, I hope you don't have it. We're trying to detox the body by making it alkaline.
Exactly, and we're not healing, treating, or curing anything. And please don't take this as medical advice, but I'm just trying to show some really simple science within this. So what we've got a hard acid, and you know what? We'll make it even more acidic, just so the camera can pick that up. And this is just actually a simple, drop hot tub tester, but an acid's an acid, right? Mm-hmm. So I hope we can pick that up and see the acidic of that. Mm-hmm. So, here we're going to just take that half a pill of multivitamin, and I'm just going to pour some into that. And if you see how much I poured in not, a fraction of a shot glass there. And everybody can see that on camera happening right in front of us. We've just turned that hard acid right into an alkaline. Right. So when we look at what we're doing here, and this just in the most simple way possible here, is we're connecting the electrical impulses in the body. Hey, we're giving it.
Hey, and as you do that in a shot glass, one of the things that I say to people out there, Doug's heard this and stuff, is I try to make this somewhat tasteful, but taste isn't the main thing right now. Your health is the main thing. So I look at a shot glass there, and I hated alcohol, though I drank a ton of it, okay, back when I was unhealthy and stuff. So many people hate shots of whiskey. They hate shots of it. And they say, oh, I don't like my celery smoothie. I didn't like my carrot juiced shot. Okay, we did so many shots of death all those years that you could do a shot of life right now without complaining to me. So if we could do a shot of an alkaline water, I'm trying to help your life right now.
Well, and here's one of your Camu.
Oh God, with my baby in there.
Here's one of the Camu Vite Bites. I'm just gonna let that soak in water for a second, and we're just experimenting here. I've never done this before. I'm just gonna see if it works or not.
This won't blow up the studio, will it?
No, we should be okay.
Okay.
But just kind of.
God, I had a possibility of a bad joke there with an implosion.
But that Camu is dense. There we go.
I don't want Chico to get thrown off the air yet here.
So your Camu that you're absolutely loving, mm-hmm. and I know that's like super mineral dense. But I'm just, as we're talking and as we're playing on camera, mm-hmm. people can see this live, mm-hmm. for the first time. There's the Camu. There's the Vite Bite, the new freeze-dried supplement, mm-hmm. being able to do that as well. That's
Turn
cool.
that alkaline.
That's cool. So, that's our whole goal, is with super simple supplementation, right. Exactly with what your story is and what you're doing, is giving the body exactly what the body needs to heal itself.
And that alkaline with those simple kind of supplements, with some of our structured silver, we're really trying to attack leaky gut. And if you get leaky gut in your stomach and stuff, there's a correlation absolutely to your health, but also your brain health, mental illness, and some of the other things that I play in that world of trying to create healthy alternatives.
Doug, for those that are interested, and I'm sure many are after hearing all of this, and I mean, people are able to bear witness to what Bernie's been able to do with it. How can they access your product? Is there a website? Is there a phone number? Anything to get out that people can get in touch with you?
They can reach us at www.ameolife.com, ameolife.com. Kennedy, can you give me the phone number? I wasn't this. We're rolling in this just in real time here today, so I can't ever remember.
Yeah,
our phone
Kennedy,
number.
come say hi. You look.
Yes.
Doug's stepdaughter. She's cuter than Doug. She's handling
This is my
social.
stepdaughter Kennedy. She's takes care of all of our social media, and she's working with Bernie and helping Bernie to look better than Bernie's even looking. So, thank you for all the help on this. Yeah, not a problem. So back to what we're talking about. The long and the short of it is simplicity, and it's getting the body healed naturally. Simplicity. You're the living example of it, as well as so many of the people that we work with, and that's what initially brought Ralph Malone in as a partner, and seeing the differences and the changes that were happening in his life. And for anybody that wants to phone in, the number is 1-800-422-8148. That number again, 1-800-422-8148. And like I say, we're ecstatic, happy to have Bernie as a partner as well.
Yeah, and it's nice too with these. You don't need 30 different products of that with Life. There's just a few of it. It's smart supplementation. So to get that, it's a lifestyle. Any one thing, isn't it? It's starting to live the lifestyle of it with the juicing. Do it the right way to juice. We love the Venus hot sauce. It's coming to Giant Eagle in a couple weeks. The spray relief at Kosar19.com. But incorporating this as your lifestyle, it's something that we talked earlier about. Maybe developing a community of like-minded people that maybe have some of these issues. That there's a way for us to go to get genuine help and ideas of stuff that could give you real results that people could see, that have kind of someone who's come out the other side.
So, Doug, for somebody who wants to get started, and I'm sure many people do after seeing this and obviously hearing Bernie's story, would you recommend, like on the website, somebody's probably saying, my gosh, there's so many products, which one is right for me? Is this where you want to consult with your doctor, see, or are there suggestions on the website? Like, how does that work?
So for any time you get into taking anything, the FDA says that we have to say consult your
Sure.
healthcare provider before
Right.
taking anything.
Right.
If I was going to make a recommendation to anybody, it would be the alkaline structured silver, the probiotic, and the multivitamin. That's where I would start. And when we look at, and we don't have any of the structured silver here, but what the silver does is it naturally cleanses the body of yeast, fungus, mold, and bacteria. And I'd say if we were looking at retaking control of our body, it's to get the stuff out of the body that's keeping our body sick, right? So we cleanse it with the silver. Secondary is we start to rebuild the body, and that's the probiotic, the multivitamin, just two simple things. And then ultimately from there, it's whoever's looking to make that change in their health, it's paying attention to what they're putting into their body, because there is no quick fix, easy fix form of supplementation. And I say this a lot to people, and they kind of look at me like I've got two heads. It's like, there isn't a supplement that's going to heal your body. And people are like, well, you're in the supplement industry. You're supposed to be helping heal people, right? Well, the body's the heal and treat and curing machine, right? And if we look at how our body's designed, and we look at how Bernie's body's recovered and other people's bodies recover, I look at it as the body's the healing, treat, and curing machine. We just got to give the body what the body needs to do so.
Got to take care of that body.
Exactly.
Too. Yeah.
And then I take it sort of one step further is I don't believe that chemicals can heal the body, because the body was never designed to assimilate and break down chemicals. So if you take it and look at, let's say Bernie's body's a car, for instance, right? you're not going to dump
Ferrari.
antifreeze in the oil of your car, right? You'll blow your motor. So when we start, and back to what your story is here, when you over chemical your body, you're putting your body into a rough state, right? So what Bernie did is Bernie just gave his body what the body needed to heal naturally, and that's what Bernie continues to do in his journey of recovery. And that's why we see him, rather on an axis of going downhill, we see him an axis of going uphill. And you see Bernie today, and you've known Bernie a long time, and you've seen him getting better. Where's Bernie going to be in a year? Maybe he's got a Browns uniform on again.
Well, now that's a whole nother discussion, which we could save for the 2 o'clock hour.
Hey, but you know what? One thing to add to your question too. There's people, even myself, that thinks I'm versed in what I need to do, and sometimes it gets a lot for me. So even to your question, one of the things that we're also going to probably do, that we're piecing together right now, that's not up there on the website and stuff, is whether it's the Meal Life, the Spare Relief, all of this right now is kind of incorporating kind of a lifestyle thing together. But one of the things is almost like a starter kit that I think we're going to put together for like a monthly charge, where there's something there's a package of about 7 or 8 things that you really should have, with the probiotics, the multivitamin, the Vitamix, the Camu and stuff, that you really should start with. And we'll probably put a package together of that where, I've made a commitment to this and myself, and I'm making a commitment to people. And I think if they want to make a commitment to this and sign up, we'll send them a starter kit. We'll actually send them a Vitamix to get them started, so that the excuse isn't there. It's sitting right in your kitchen, or right in your office. Your probiotics are there, your multivitamins, your Camu. And again, this isn't just a salesy thing. And when I was playing, I wasn't a germ OCD on the germs and stuff, but there's so much into the science of what you do. So even some of the stuff that Doug's coached me up in, simplistic things like what your soaps and mouthwashes are, the aluminums, the metals, the carcinogens that are in simple things that you just did, all of us probably did today, of mouthwash, toothpaste, deodorant. We'll be altering that with you with this starter kit, because those are little things that are putting heavy metals, aluminum, carcinogens into our bodies that absolutely accelerate negative things happening to you.
So, Doug, one more time, if you want to give that website and then the phone number for those that want to get started on this great product.
Yeah, it's www.ameolife.com, and the phone number 1-800-422-8148. And I can just show you tell you one quick thing here.
Sure.
If that helps. Is when we're talking about foods, we're talking about supplementation, we're talking about all of these different things. And this is something that you and I are going to be spending a lot of time helping educate people on. But whenever somebody's looking at a supplement and, just deciding, is this a company that I want to trust their products, or a company I want to do business with, or anything, I always say to people, look at the back of the bottle, look at the supplement facts. And our whole mission in what we are and who we are as a company is to get the raw botanicals from the earth into the human body as they came from the earth, and not pretending that we can do something better than how it was created. And so with that is our dedication to the people that we're trying to help in their wellness, is no chemicals, no fillers, no toxins, no alterated ingredients, everything exactly as it came from the earth. And it just shows right up there on the supplement facts panel.
ameolife.com. Bernie, final words, or you want to flex? You can even just flex.
No, I was flexing. I was thinking as you're saying that, I say the phrase "you matter" all the time, because we're making a commitment to. I made a commitment to myself. We're making a commitment to people, and I don't say the "you matter" as just to be cool or a University of Miami tagline. It's so imperative out there that people know that they matter, and saying "you matter" and me and Doug meeting through Ralph and being like-minded at not only trying to help ourselves to get healthy, but having a mission now that people really do matter, and you matter to be able to take care of people. I'm so proud to be finally ready to answer that question of what do I take every day, because I wasn't harboring this from people the last couple years. I just wasn't ready. I wasn't sure it worked as good as it did. And I've developed some consistency in myself and how to handle it. And then, bluntly, we weren't able to make, it's such a big issue, we weren't able to make and distribute and get to the people in our community the right amount of stuff to develop this lifestyle so that they could get these results, so that they could feel healthy and happy like I feel right now.
Well, and Bernie, that's in closing, that's what's great is, I mentioned in the beginning, and I always say it to you now, it's written all over your face. I mean, your emotions, you can tell you're happy, you look great, you feel great, and now you want to pass that on to others. I mean, and that's the great thing, I mean, it's, hey, I found this, and if I can go from, some dark days where I was really struggling to where I am right now, this is all you have to do. So, I mean, I commend you for that, and Doug, obviously, seems like a really good
thank you, and I appreciate you sharing this with us and having the vision on our show and your show here to kind of understand this and want to come and talk about it and stuff.
You guys might be here every week if the ratings skyrocket.
Well, with people in our community and stuff, to do this, and I'm starting to meet people out there. I would recommend, I'm going to start saying that you need to actually be signed up already to hear, like, at night, because I'm out at night. Just about everybody now stops me. And if we start talking, it morphs right into this health and wellness. So these are simple things that, again, not from the sales side, but you really need to start this. So when I see you out at night, I love how you astutely see the health and happiness in my eyes. Unfortunately, one of the gifts that I'm seeing is when I look in people's eyes, I really do look at you, and I see the antithesis in too many people out there right now, the actual sadness and hopelessness because they're not feeling good and they're so desperate for help. So start this. You don't need to talk through it and keep debating the inactivity. This is something that simplistically we all could start.
Bernie, great to see you. Doug, great to see you and great to meet you. And obviously, again, ameolife.com. Check that out, and we appreciate your time. Really good information.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, brother. You matter.
You matter. There you go. All right. We're going to return. We're going to step aside for a little bit. And when we come back, we'll have the second hour of the Chico Bormann Show, a little NBA draft. I know my buddy Bohm, very, very excited about the Cavaliers' 49th selection. He's smiling. We'll tell you more about that. A little fair or foul as well. That's on the way next. The Chico Bormann Show. More to come right here on the Big Play Sports Network. All righty, welcome back to the Chico Bormann Show here on this Friday afternoon. Good to have you along in the Big Play Sports Network and, of course, streaming the show live as we do each and every day, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3. Over on Twitter, you can follow us at Chico Show CLE. And then, of course, you can also do so on YouTube and watch it there. Type in the Chico Bormann Show, hit subscribe, and you'll be ready to go. A quick thank you again. The great Bernie Kosar, we all know and love, and it's so good. And I mean this, and I've told Bernie this plenty of times off the air. It's so good to see him feeling good, knowing that it's not a facade. Like he's feeling good, he's looking good, and he wants to pass along a great message. So, Doug from Ameo Life, again, that website ameolife.com. And there's a starter kit that they're going to be working on for you as well. So if you're interested in that and you're saying, my gosh, where do I begin? There's so many. They've got a starter kit all ready to go for you. So just check that out, ameolife.com. Okay. All right. Boom, how you doing, buddy? I know that was kind of, you were cameraman extraordinaire there, having to go on the fly. You did a great job, buddy.
Thanks, Chico. You're going to see the effects of working so hard on that on today's Fair or Foul.
I got a little nervous with a science experiment. So I mean, like, because I wasn't very good in chemistry and physics and all that stuff. So, but no, it was good stuff. Always love chopping it up with Bernie, but it really, you like I said, you really did a hell of a job as far as kind of being able to adapt.
I want to get my hands on some of those. Bernie gave me some hot sauce, Chico. I'm excited for that. And then he let me try one of his Camus gummies, which like the freeze-dried fruit. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm a big fruit guy.
Well, for Bernie to give you that,
it was a very kind gesture.
That'd be like Bernie giving you like I don't know, his Miami jersey or something. At this point, right now, that stuff is just as important, probably more important. So like that'd be like him giving you a Canes jersey.
It's my new claim to fame.
There you go.
Bernie gave me hot sauce.
I'm jealous. I didn't get any hot sauce. Well, I'll have to look into that. But great stuff there. All right. So in the remaining time, if you would like to chime in, we will get back into sports here, talking some NBA. 216-626-7901. Again, 216-626-7901. All right. So I get a text from my buddy Michael Bohm. Now, I received the text. I shouldn't receive. I read the text very early this morning. It was sent, I remember, at 12:24 a.m. There was no way. And I was on Twitter because I did watch for a while, longer than I thought I would. There were guys on Twitter that cover it that are going, okay, I've covered a lot of these. This is getting just ridiculous. Like it was. So 12:24, Bohm, were you glued to the set? And don't lie. I can tell you have a tell when you lie. I won't tell you what that is, that tell.
Giggling.
Yeah. Well, that's one of them, one of many. Actually, that wouldn't be your tell because you do that all the time. How much of it did you watch?
Yeah, so I had it on like for I want to say I tuned in around like the 10th pick. And I had it on in the background. I wasn't like focused in on it the entire time. And it really did feel like it dragged on. Like there was it was a little too much in a lot of ways. Like, and the time between picks felt like it droned on far longer than it should have. But that being said, I think what I still had it in the background. I was focused on something else, and then what caught my ear was them talking about the Cavs. And so from there, I watched with pretty close intent.
What were they saying about the Cavaliers?
It was something about looking forward, like seasonal outlook sort of stuff, and like what they could do here, and just talking about the team in general.
Now, in your text you sent to me, you're like, Imani Bates, I love the pick. Let's go. You're fired up.
I said, Imani
Bates out of Eastern Michigan. He's a guy, some of you are probably, and many of you are probably watching that or saw it the next day today and said, why does that name sound so familiar? He was a very, very highly touted prospect. Wasn't he heading to Duke or did he go to Duke?
He was committed to a big program. I know that.
I thought it was Duke. I could be wrong. But the buzzword with the NBA draft, okay? And honestly, if you drank every time they said it, you'd be your blood alcohol
count. Can I guess it?
0.48. Go ahead.
Is it upside?
Yes, upside. And this is here's my thing about the NBA draft. I kind of mentioned this a little bit yesterday, and it's not necessarily a knock. I'm just being realistic with what it is. Like the NFL draft, and not in terms of popularity or the hype or anything like that, because we know, I mean, the NFL is their own hype machine, and people love it. They consume it as much as they can. Can't get enough of it. But with the NFL draft, like guys, you're familiar with guys, number one, because people watch college football, but it's also like accomplished guys that accomplished a lot in college, maybe a Heisman Trophy winner, not all of them, but you see what I'm saying, a Heisman Trophy winner, an All-American, an All-Big Ten, an All-SEC. You see these guys like highly coveted, and they get drafted fairly high. With the NBA draft, like, let's think about this, Bohm. 2 guys we saw in the Big Ten, okay? Zach Edey was the Naismith Player of the Year and went back to Purdue. Bad news for all the Big Ten people. Back to Purdue because he doesn't really project as a great NBA guy for, I'm sure a variety of reasons. He can obviously make money with NIL, which I'm sure he's going to make a ton. But so there's the Naismith Player of the Year. Trace Jackson Davis. I think I got that. Yeah. The kid out of Indiana. Is that Trace? Yeah, that's it. Trace Jackson Davis. He's got the 2 last names. He averaged 22 and 11. Like, I watched a lot of this guy because I do watch a lot of Big Ten basketball during the season. He was 22 and 11. 22 points a game, 11 rebounds a game. You know where he went in the draft? Second to last. It's the opposite. Like, and I understand upside. I get it. Like, Jay Billis said it over and over again. Like, if you watched it, I'm sure not just upside, he would say, well, we know this guy's floor. He kept saying that. We know this guy's floor. We're intrigued about what his ceiling could be. That's pretty much everybody in the draft, I feel like. And I mean, yes, in the NFL, you don't know their ceiling and you're still projecting. But with the NBA, this is kind of what I was talking about yesterday, is it seems like that, the interest level, fans' knowledge, the average fan's knowledge of who's in the draft and what their accolades were, before the season or what they did last season. I mean, half the time you don't even know if they went to college or they're overseas or they played in the G League. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it really speaks to my point about it being so different. Maybe it's so different that people love that. Like, maybe people love the idea that, it is kind of its own entity, its own thing. But it always amazes me. Like, if you're a kid, we always say, or used to say, we used to say it long time ago. Yeah, but man, if he goes back to school for one more year, and he's going to not only hone his skills, but he's going to mature some, and he is going to be a bona fide. Now, you don't want to do that. Like, if I'm some kid's agent, hell, if I'm his family member, I'm like, no, you probably want to go now because your ceiling hasn't been reached. We know what your floor is. We don't know what your ceiling is. And ceiling is, I might be able to go top 10. I'm horrible. I'm terrible. But that would mean my ceiling is super high. I mean, it's almost annoying for me. I don't know about you, Bo. Just, there's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more of an unpredictability factor. And all these guys, especially as you get into that tail end of the first round and beyond, it's all lottery tickets, right? And it feels like you're more likely to miss on whoever you're taking than hit.
But see, that's okay. You're right. But the number 3 pick wasn't it Scoot Henderson?
Yeah.
He went to Portland, and
Miller went
talking about Damian Lillard and would he, is he good enough that? But people, how many points I think the 4th pick in the draft averaged like 8 or 9 points a game. Scoot Henderson, he played in the G League. He's got a lot of talent. He needs a lot of work on his shot, but like that helps him. Whereas if there's a guy who's a bona fide shooter that shot 43% from 3, or it's a little too much, but right around there, that kid would have a much less of a chance of going anywhere near it's all about ceiling, which I understand. Like, you're trying to project, you get them young, you have them for a while, but that would be maddening if you're every draft, no matter the sport. We talked about baseball yesterday, how you just don't know, but imagine if the NFL, there was that much of a guessing game. And they always say, like, hey, you don't know how well these guys are going to do in the first round. You put out mock drafts, you grade drafts. Nobody knows how they're going to do. Okay, multiply that by about 80, and now you have the NBA draft. Not just the guys at the end of the first or the second. I'm talking about, like, Wembanyama, got it right. The French Wamba. I stole that.
Love it.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see him play. Like, it is exciting, and that was, but
You gonna tune into Summer League, Chico?
no.
I might. I kind of want to see if he's playing. I kind of want to see him.
I mean, put it this way: if it came across, and this is not me saying I don't like basketball. I do. Matter of fact, I love college hoops. The NBA is really contingent on the Cavs. Like, I mean, I'll watch if there's a good matchup. If the Joker's on, say Denver's playing, I don't know, Memphis and late on I'll watch some of it. I won't be glued for the entire game.
Sure.
But I'll watch some of it. Whereas, it's I don't know. It's just strange. Now, again, the Cavs have always piqued my interest. And I mean, because I was a diehard. It's kind of like when we were talking to Bernie about the Browns in the 80s. Same thing with the Cavs. I mean, Mark Price, Larry Nance, Brad Daugherty, like that was, and this is me being that guy. This is me being that old fogey going, well, back in my day, it was so much better. I totally understand that. But I do think it has gotten to a little bit of a point where it's just so, well, we know Bill has said it probably 48 times. We know his floor, we don't know his ceiling. We know his floor, we don't know his ceiling. Like, it's amazing.
You're telling me that if Wemby is taking on Amani Bates, you're not going to tune in to Summer League?
No, because Wemby's going to abuse Amani Bates.
Well, they're not going to be matched up against each other. But
yeah, Bates isn't very good defensive. I mean, here's the thing, like with Bates. Like, that's a good – I mean, I think for where they took him at 49, now I know your contention and more your wish. You're very optimistic, glass half full.
He was slipping a bit too,
if not flowing over. Is that he's okay? Well, Cavs need a shooter. They need shooters. But there you go. Imani Bates might not even play. He might not. He might spend most of his time in Canton. He might, if he does play, he might. I'm not now. Again, I hope that's not the case. But I'm just saying, like, that also goes into the whole, like, interest level. And it's why people, and baseball is my favorite sport, but I know why people don't watch the Major League Baseball draft. Who's this kid? Oh, he's a senior in high school and he throws 95. Oh, I'll just wait until he makes. Yeah, I get it. But now, like, the NBA is going that route, and it's almost like it's the guys like Zach Edey and Trace Davis, and they get penalized for going back and actually playing 3 years of solid college basketball, not to mention in Edey's case, Naismith Player of the Year. Oh, you know what? You should probably go back there. Wait a minute. I was the James Naismith Player of the Year. Yeah, you're not quite good at we've already seen your ceiling. So talk to us next year. That boggles my mind.
It is a really interesting dynamic, how the room for more uncertainty and unknown and questions about a player's potential can make them more appealing. I guess it's just funny how that works, but at the same time, it's understandable.
Excuse me. I got to grab my phone. Keep talking.
Oh, okay. It kind of reminds me of that scene in Family Guy where it's like you could either get the boat or you could take the mystery box. And he's like, I want to know what's in the box. It could even be a boat. And it's tickets to a comedy club. So it's, I mean,
you performing.
Well, I guess my stand-up would probably bomb, but I could try.
Was that a play on words? Bomb? Like
No. See, you're.
Why do people? Too many people that like we've known. I'm not going to mention names, but they continue to say your name's Bomb. Like one guy like knew you and employed you for a long time, and would just, oh, I like that thing with Bomb yesterday. I'm like, you mean Bohm? Like it's not that hard. Bohm, Bohm, Alec Bohm with the Phillies. Alec Bohm, Bohm.
Haven't you ever heard of the scientific unit ohm?
Now, if it was spelled Baum, okay, that's Baum or Baum or it's Bohm. Anyway,
I should change it to spell it Bome.
Boom. All right, I'll tell you what. Let us take this is going to be a quick break. We'll come back, gather up. You're going to finish us off with fair or foul. We'll get out of here. Final thoughts on the NBA draft, and also, oh, by the way, the Guardians looking to make it 5 in a row tonight when they welcome Milwaukee Brewers. We'll talk more about that. Chico Bormann Show continues right here on the Big Play Sports Network. And welcome back to the Chico Bormann Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. We'll get to fair or foul here in just a moment. As I look across the room, and I mentioned Bohm was really put to the test today. We had Bernie and we had Doug from Amio Life, and so a lot of people, a lot of different vantage points and camera angles. So Bohm has worked up a huge lather, and so Bohm, you need obviously to replenish with our friends at Nirvana Superwater. And I need it because, I need it now because this is part of my daily routine. And as we were talking about health in the first hour with Bernie and Doug, Nirvana Superwater is right there also with HMB promoting lean muscle mass, metabolism. For those of you getting older like myself, it's slowing down. You want to speed it back up. Still got to have a healthy lifestyle. Still got to try to eat right. You got to work out. But you do all those things, and then what makes it even better, when you're working out or you're done with your workout or you're getting ready for tomorrow's workout, a little bit of Nirvana Superwater, or in this case, 16.9 fluid ounces, does a wonder as far as making your body recover, allowing your body to recover, my body specifically to recover, and get ready for another early morning workout. I love this stuff. You know what? I hadn't had the orange peach in a while, Bohm. It's given strawberry basil lemonade a real run for its money.
Chico, I actually feel the exact same way, where to me it was like undoubtedly the strawberry basil, and I already finished 2 of them today, and I'm still sweating. I wish I got another one. But at first for me it was the the strawberry basil lemonade that like took the cake, right? I like the orange peach, but it has steadily grown on me, and now they are like 1A, 1B to me. But I do like the cucumber lime too. I gave some to my dad yesterday.
Yeah.
He loved it. That's
Papa
his favorite
Bomb.
flavor. Yeah.
Pop a bomb.
Good old Marv, Vinny.
Marv?
His name's Marvin, but his friends call him Vinny, which I think is hilarious.
That makes sense. Makes total sense. Goes right in line with, puzzle pieces, kids. The puzzle pieces are all coming together here, aren't they? So check them out. FeelSuper.com, Nirvana Super Water, FeelSuper.com. Type in the code. I still hadn't swallowed my water. Type in the code BIGPLAY20. That's BIGPLAY20, 20, and you will get 20% off your purchase. Good stuff. Go do that today. All right. It is now time, as we near the end of this show on a Friday, and Bohm wipes his brow again. He gives us a little fair or foul. What do you got, Bohm?
All right, Chico. Well, why don't we tip things off with the biggest trade to come out of last night? What I think was the biggest trade, with Chris Paul getting dealt to the Golden State Warriors, which is really interesting. And they were talking about it on the broadcast, how there's such a clash in styles between Paul and that Warriors offense that usually is more up-tempo. But it is, I think, that pairing of Chris Paul just surrounded by some of the best shooters in the league. No doubt that those assist numbers are probably not going to drop. Fair or foul, Chico? It's because I don't think that you can definitely say that the Warriors were like a finals contender last year. They were pretty shaky. Fair or foul, Chris Paul is the piece that they needed to be considered a title contender once more.
Yeah, I still don't know what else they're going to do. I mean, there's still, a new GM in place, and Mike Dunleavy and kind of working through what's going to happen with Draymond. So I don't know if Klay Thompson. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I will say this about Chris Paul. To your point about the contrasting styles, and I heard somebody say this earlier, and I think it sounds right. Well, and they know the game a lot more than I do. Said that you're right as far as the contrasting styles, but they think he'll be more of that guy that plays more with the second unit, because he does need the ball in his hand, does want the ball in his hands. He might start the game with Steph, but maybe play like, say, 4 or 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden, first TV timeout, even before that, you're getting him out of there and bringing somebody else in, making sure he's good to go for the second with, kind of the second teamers. But the important thing is, and I've said this so many times about Steph Curry, we know how incredible he is as a shooter and as an all-around player. His unselfishness is what makes Golden State. Like, there is no way that Kevin Durant could have come into any other team with any other superstar and everything be okay. In large part, that was Steph Curry going, guys, as long as we win a ring, I don't care. If I'm not getting the ball as much, doesn't matter. So the idea, at first you think, wow, is that going to be a clash? I don't think so. I think there's a mutual respect there, and I think Paul will probably be staggered to some degree in terms of where he's playing and who he's playing with. But the key is anybody you bring in with Golden State, and this makes GM's job very easy, is Steph Curry's going to be okay with it. It's not going to be an ego thing, and you just can't say that about many superstars in the NBA.
Yeah, and you certainly can't say that about his teammate Draymond Green.
I don't think he's that. I don't think that's Draymond. Draymond's not a diva. He's just he just can be a loon at times, and he's
an instigator.
Yeah. He's not a diva because he couldn't thrive in the role that he's thrived in for so many years if he was a diva. He's not about scoring points.
The whole Jordan Poole thing was interesting, though. I think that felt like Draymond crossed the line.
Oh, he totally crossed the line. But I'm talking about in terms of with Steph, playing time, shooting the ball.
Sure.
Who's got the ball? I mean, Draymond didn't give a damn about getting the ball in his hands. He gobbled up rebounds. He blocking shots. He was doing anything you wanted, which is why he was so valuable during that time.
And on the other end of the spectrum with that deal, boy, what a downward career trajectory Poole's career has taken ever since getting punched, and then like the poor performance in the playoffs this year, and now he's dealt to Washington. Hopefully he can turn it around.
I don't know what happened with he is. I'm glad you brought him up because I was thinking about this last night as they were talking about it in the draft. He is such an enigma at this point. Like, you wonder, he's one of those guys, and this might not be fair to say, but I'm throwing it out there because I don't know and I'm guessing. But doesn't it feel like he could be one of those guys, Jordan Poole, that kind of thought he made it, kind of thought like, you know what, I'm a star now, and because he was very good when Steph had the injury, and he's averaging 20 a game, and then you're right, Draymond didn't help things, and if that's the reason why, that was a huge thing that I know Steve Kerr tried to sweep under the rug, but that's, wow. You just can't do crap like that like Draymond did. But, man, Jordan Poole just completely fell off the planet. And all I can think is he thought he had made it because he was putting up great numbers. If you're not doing it day in and day out, night in and night out, see you later. That's just, at that level, that's what you got to do.
Jordan Poole got hoodwinked by life.
Thank you, Bo.
The interesting
part. That was
part,
terrible. Get another drink of your super water before we continue.
Yeah, maybe I'm getting dehydrated right now. I'm becoming delirious
you're
and
more
discombobulated.
You're more dehydrated and discombobulated and all that.
The last note on that pick that I think is just like one of the quirkiest parts of the NBA is the fact that a 2030 protected first-round pick was used in that deal to acquire Chris Paul from Washington. So, yeah, you're not going to see that in any other sports, that trading that far out into the future. But I digress because I want to move on to a prediction courtesy of former coach Herm Edwards.
Hello. You play to win the game. Hello. As much as people love Jim Mora talking about playoffs, Herm Edwards, that clip of Herm Edwards, I think is better. That is the funniest. Hello. You play to win the game. Hello.
Dennis Green, also I think one of the iconic.
Crown him.
Yeah.
Crown him. Yeah, that's a good one.
We had him and we let him off the hook.
All right, continue.
Okay, yeah. So anyways, good old Herm.
Erm. Hey, Erm. What'd you call me? Erm.
I silenced the H, like the silence before we begin our show.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's commence forth. So, Herm actually predicted that the Miami Dolphins would win the AFC East and challenge the Kansas City Chiefs for the top spot in the AFC. Now, okay, there are a lot of exciting pieces. Obviously, I think if you're a Fins fan, you have to feel good about Mike McDaniel coming in, and you have to feel like maybe you have arguably the best receiver duo in all of sports, or in all of football. I guess all of sports too.
That could be, yeah.
But I think the biggest question lies with Tua Tagovailoa and what you're going to get out of him. Obviously, staying on the field is one with all the head injuries. But
is there a question in our midst, or did you want to go on for another 5? No.
When you take into consideration, yeah, I guess we're up against it. When you take into consideration the Buffalo Bills, the new look Jets with Aaron Rodgers, fair or foul predicting the Fins to win it all and compete against KC.
Well, actually, you were right. That's what you said there. Immediately, in my mind, I thought Tua. If Tua stays healthy, and that is, you talk about a huge if. They're saying, oh, he took jiu-jitsu or whatever the hell that is to learn how to fall. So you're getting hit by NFL linemen and linebackers, and yeah, maybe that's going to help him, but but more to the point, if he stays healthy and is Tua Tagovailoa when healthy, Mr. Accurate, you getting the ball in the hands of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and their defense is very sound. I like their coach. I didn't know much about him. I wasn't real high on him, I should say, but he's been great. I think Miami is a very good, sexy pick to win the AFC East. Ultimately, they're not going to be the favorite, nor should they. But the route is easy, but not easy. Tua Tagovailoa stays healthy for the entire year, Miami Dolphins are going to be making noise in the AFC East, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, and with Tua, it is interesting. I got one more for you, but with Tua, he was able to get it done, and he was effective in ways that some of the other top-tier quarterbacks were not, because he didn't have the arm strength, right? So he was
better arm strength than they gave him credit for, though.
Sure, like he could definitely get it down the field. He's a competent NFL quarterback. Come on, but the way that he was so deadly in the middle of the field, I think, is where he was really able to stand out last year.
That's a great assessment, Bo.
Thank you, Chico. And
Sure.
now, as we commence forth to baseball, because I saw the first, or I don't know if it was the first, but a new contestant in this year's Home Run Derby has been announced in Julio Rodriguez. So it got me thinking, Chico, because I want to see Cleveland represent. Fair or foul, Josh Naylor is the most likely candidate to represent the Guardians in the Home Run Derby this year.
I mean, yeah, I'll go fair on that, but a big thing with Major League Baseball and an event like that is name recognition. And not that Josh, but he's not. I mean, he's not on the tip of everyone's tongue. That doesn't mean that he's not valuable as hell here, because he is. But Jose Ramirez would be the guy. Like, Jose can go yard too, but I'd love to see Naylor. So I'll go fair on that, like from a personal standpoint. But if you're looking at it from a Major League Baseball standpoint, you're going to have some people around baseball, some fans, average fans that don't know a whole lot, go, Josh Naylor? I didn't realize that's how they're going to react. But could he get hot? And would he be entertaining? Josh Naylor, that's the thing. Major League Baseball, yeah, he probably doesn't bring the name recognition nationwide, but I think regardless of how he did, but certainly if he won it, I don't think he would, but regardless of how he performed, he would be a talking point, because he's bringing that energy. He's bringing that enthusiasm and the theatrics and all of that.
Yeah, nobody on that Guardians roster wears their emotions on their sleeve like Josh Naylor. And
I'd say James Karinchak is
okay, but you get it consistently.
But he's
you
no
don't
longer
see
on the
Karinchak
roster. That's what you're going to say. Yeah.
But you get it night in, night out from Naylor. And this is a perfect opportunity for the MLB to really thrust Naylor out into that spotlight. I hope that they take advantage, but to your point, I don't anticipate it, as that is today's fair or foul.
Thank you, Bo. That was a very job well done, and a very good job, or I don't know.
A very job well done.
It was a job. It was a job done, not well done. It was a job done.
I would not be remiss to remind you of that again.
Well, I was just about to say, I wanted to thank Bernie Kosar and Doug from Ameo Life again, ameolife.com. Get your starter kit, feel healthy, feel good. So thanks to those guys, and I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't thank Michael Bohm. Why is Chico saying that? Because Bohm actually used those words, that exact phrase.
Verbatim.
I would be remiss. No. Boom. I wouldn't be remiss. What else can I say, kids? All right. Have a great weekend. Guardians, by the way, in action tonight. Shane Bieber on the bump. Get out to the ballpark. 4,000 more fans this year per game for the Guards. So fans kicking ass. Let's hope the win streak continues. Get it to 5. And knock off the Brew Crew tonight at Progressive Field. Until Monday, make it a great weekend, everybody. See ya.